Hi there. In this video we'll be drawing an isometric drawing. In short, we'll be drawing this figure on our paper here. As we're drawing isometric, it's just basically trying to draw a drawing that will look like it's in 3 dimensions. The first step to drawing any drawing in isometric is making your isometric box. So an isometric box is just a box that will look kind of like this. As we see a box, just something like this. This is what we're going to draw the first time we start drawing. Now, what we'll do is we'll make this distance here depending on our drawing. For example, you can see in our drawing, this is the longer side. This side here is shorter. Then we've got height. So we'll get our length. We'll put our width here. Then we'll put our height there. To get the length of this drawing, we'll simply add 50 and 25, which is going to be equal to 75. To get our width, we're going to add 12 and that 38. That should give us a 50. And to get our height, we'll add this 25 to the 12. And that will give us a height of 37. Alright, since we know our length, width, and height, let's mark our isometric box. To mark our isometric box, the first thing we have to do is draw a horizontal line using a T-square. So you have a horizontal line like that. You draw a vertical line. And then at this point where the horizontal and the vertical line are meeting, you're going to draw a 30-degree line going to the right and the 30-degree line going to the left. We'll do that using our 30-60 set square. So you make sure your 90 is on the right bottom, and then you come to this intersection here, draw a line that goes towards the right, and then you make sure your 90 is in the top left like that. Then come to the marking here and extend another 30. Now we're going to get the length of our drawing, which, if you can remember, was 75 millimeters. I'll measure 75 millimeters on my T-square with a compass, mark it on the correct side. This is where my 75 was. I get my width, which was 50 millimeters, stand at this point and mark an arc like that. I am also going to get my height, which is 37, and I mark like that. With these 3 markings, I can now make my isometric box. How I'm going to do that is very simple. For this mark here, I'm going to extend a vertical line going upwards. Remember, it's a box that we want to create. So I mark a line like that. In this marking here, I'll use 30 degrees. So what you notice whenever we're doing isometric is all the lines that go towards the right are going to be at an angle of 30 degrees, and all the lines that go towards the left are also going to be at an angle of 30 degrees. So like that, I have my line. I need to draw a line going towards my left, like that. Another line. Now I need the last point there. So to draw that, I'm going to start a line from here going towards my right. Remember, all the lines going right and left are going to be at an angle of 30 degrees. I'm drawing a line going to my left from here now. And once I'm done, I have my isometric box. When you're drawing an isometric drawing, these lines that I'm drawing right now are going to be in faint constructions. So they're not going to be very dark. The drawing itself, this here is what is going to be outlined. So don't worry if some lines are extended and the like. The main idea is you need to know what you need to draw. Now, you notice in our drawing, there's a 12 millimeter distance from this corner to some part on our drawing here. We've got a 12 millimeters. I'll start with marking that 12 millimeters so that I can locate this corner point here. So we'll mark A. You can imagine we have a line like that. So we have located this point here, which we can call point O. Now we want to locate point A. So point A is 12 millimeters from O. So you simply just get a compass and measure 12 millimeters. Stand at this point O, like that. And now I have the point I was calling A. So that's my 12. And then I can have my dark line. Now, apart from that, to kind of have some more to draw, I'm going to mark this point here, which I can call point B. So B has the same thickness as this part here. So this 12 is the distance from A to B, because this part here and this part here, including this part, have a uniform thickness of 12. That's kind of the thickness of our base. So I'll get that 12, and then I can mark it just like that. You see how it will become useful. After I have done that, I'm going to draw a vertical line from this point A that we had, like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is mark this 25 millimeters. We have a 25 here from O. You can call this point C, or if I was to label the whole diagram, let's say we have A, B, C, D, we have E there, we have F, we have G and H. These are just arbitrary points. Usually they won't be labeled like you have seen. I've just put some letters there so that we can easily refer to the points. What I'm going to do is now locate point E from O. You can see the distance OE is 25 millimeters. So I'll get a 25, which is a 2.5 centimeters if you're using a ruler that's in centimeters. Stand at this origin point, mark like that. Then remember, like I said, our distance EF, GH, CD, AB is 12. So again, I can mark a 12 at this point here. Notice this time I'm marking from a point that's not exactly here. I want to show you how you can transfer distances. So when I mark like that, I want you to observe that the distance from here is the same one there. So I can just draw a line FG starting from this point G, which we have located. Can get it all the way from there, then draw it like that. Then I'll have a vertical line at this point, like that. Now the only part that remains is locating C and D. How can we do that? Well, you can see the line from E going to D is a line that's going towards the left. Similarly, the line from F to C goes towards the left. And remember what we said about isometric drawings. Any line that goes towards the left or towards the right is at 30 degrees. So from this point, we'll draw a line going towards the left, like that. And at this point, like that. Then we do the same for this point and this point, because you can see from A and B, there are lines going to the right to make the points C and D. You can see the procedure isn't so difficult. So if I do that, and I do that, you can see we now have our drawing taking shape. Now I'm going to outline what we've drawn so far, but before I do so, we can just draw that line also. So what we have drawn so far is this part from here all the way to there. We're only left with this top part. Okay, you can see our bottom is taking shape. It doesn't look like a bottom so much. Let me draw some construction lines for this line here and the one there, so that you can see this bottom that we have made. We have made this bottom part. It doesn't look like, but let me draw some more lines so that it can take shape. So I've extended this line here, and I'm also going to extend the line there. So we have the top, the bottom surface. This surface here where this part on top is going to sit is this one that we have drawn. Now we're going to use the distances that have been given to locate our slope. For example, you see that we have been given a 20 starting from this corner point here, which we can call I, and we also have J there. Let me refer to this as K, L, M, N, O, and we can call this P, and let's end at Q. So we've seen the distance IK is 20. So on this line here, we're going to measure a 20 millimeters. Like that, we have our 20 millimeters. Then we see we also have been given the distance MN. Now, if we examine this object, MN is the same distance as LO and the same distance as KP. So if we want to mark the point P from K, which we have located here, we can easily just mark this 25. In this case, it's a good idea to start from this top part, even though we have seen that MN, LO, and KP have the same distance. If we were to get the distance 25 and mark it at K, sometimes it would be just too much of work. So we'll jump to this top part because that's where the distance has been given, and then we'll work from this portion to the bottom there. But since we already located K, we can draw our line like that. Remember, the 25 comes from here, so we'll get our compass, measure 25, stand at this point here, and make a marking like that. Also notice that at the top there we've been given a 20, the distance from M to L. I'm also going to mark that in advance, and you'll see how that will help us. What you notice as I'm doing this drawing is I'm not calculating too many distances. If you're drawing an isometric drawing and you tend to calculate too many distances, in short, if you tend to use your calculator too much, it's not a good sign, because you are wasting your time. Wherever you see there's a distance, just mark the distance at that same location. Now, you have seen I've dropped the vertical line NQ, this distance here, and it's intersecting the line from G at this point here. So I'll extend the line from here, that will come all the way to give me point P. I hope you can see that. After I make point N here with the 25 millimeters, I've dropped a vertical line to give me point Q. Then I'm going to use point Q to give me point P. This is Q, P. This is what I meant when saying there's no need for us to measure it directly like that. If we just go directly, measure the distances from the top, we can be fast. So from Q, and now I have point P here. You can see that this line from N, the line from N here is ending at O, which is this point here. Then from O, we join to P again to create our slant. So to cut the story short, we are done with our isometric drawing. We're only left with outlining our shape. And there is our isometric drawing. You can see what we have drawn is exactly the same as this object here. This is how you basically draw an isometric drawing. I'll go through the simple steps that we went through. The first is getting your length, your width, and your height. So you get all the distances that are in one part of your drawing. For example, the distances that are on this side are 50 and 25. You can see they are written the same way. But add all those up, they give me 75. All those that are on this part written in this way, you can see it's 38 and 12. In this direction we also have this side, but you can see on this part I only have a 25. My total width can be 25, so it's 38 and 12 that are giving me this 50. To get my height, I look at the distances that are kind of vertical. You can see the 12 here is the distance from there to there, and the 25 is the distance from there to there, which if I add, I get 37. After we have that 37, we make our isometric box. And if you can remember, the procedure was we draw a horizontal line, a vertical line, then we draw a 30 degrees towards the right and a 30 degrees towards the left. These angles are with reference to our horizontal line. After which, we're now going to follow these distances in this drawing to mark the different points that we have here. We have A up to Q. Hope you enjoyed this short video on how to do a simple isometric drawing.